find the function whose graph is shown below. So here we obviously have a sinusoid, and so it's either sine or cosine. And really, any sinusoid could be written as either a sine or cosine, but usually there's just going to be one that's that's easier to see. And what you're doing is you're looking for, is it easy or easiest to find a maximum or minimum point, specifically the x-coordinate of it, or is it easier to find a point on the midline? And here, we have a maximum right on the origin, or right at x equals 0. So that's pretty dang easy. So I'm going to kind of look at that point, and when you start at a maximum or minimum, that means that a cosine function is going to be pretty easy to use to model it. So this is going to be a cosine function, and our general cosine is a times cosine of bx minus c, and then plus d. And we just go through and find these different things. So a, or the absolute value of a, is the amplitude. And here we can see the distance from the midline, which is right in the middle here on the axis, up to a maximum is 4. Okay, and so a is either positive 4 or negative 4. The cosine normally starts at a peak, and since we're viewing this as our starting point at a peak, that a will not be negative. So we're going to have a positive 4 for that a. Okay, we need to find b, and b is the, or we use it with the period. Now the period we know is 2 pi over the absolute value of b. And in this case, if we look at this, we can see that our period from peak to peak, we can see that that is 6. So this is equal to 6. And so we can solve for b here. If we multiply by the b and divide by 6, we get 2 pi over 6, or pi over 3. Pi over 3. And that's the absolute value of b. Now with the cosine function, b being positive or negative is not going to affect anything as far as the shape, because it's an even function, and so that reflection is not going to actually do anything. So we're going to let b be the positive pi over 3. And then to get c, we use our phase shift. Now the phase shift is the x-coordinate of our starting point. So here at the peak, that is at x equals 0. And so c over b, the phase shift, is 0, which tells us that c is equal to 0. And then d is the midline, and our midline here is on the axis at y equals 0. So d is 0 as well. And so here is our function that is graphed.